Coming back to everybody, we've got a fabulous group on today. That's to industry. So as you might have known, Solvability is been doing these Freedom Fridays for a while now. And one of the first people I met when I moved to Atlanta on LinkedIn was Brian Arrington. I got on a call with him and he explained to me what they were doing with Vets to Industry. And I said, oh my gosh, I want to talk to you. And it turned out that I'd met Randy before. So let me go ahead and make Brian the presenter. And Brian, if you would, just let's start talking.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. Myself and Randy McCombs are here representing, but also Mary Leone, so one of my volunteers. So thank you for being here. And then we've also got Craig Washburn, who's one of our partners, VTC Tax Credit, who's here. They're phenomenal, by the way. And before I start, Andy Bennett, I want to learn about what you do because you sound like a phenomenal resource that should be on our website, and I don't recall seeing you there. So I want to connect with you on LinkedIn so we can make sure you're highlighted for all veterans everywhere and mill spouses. So a little bit about me. Started Vets to Industry. I did 20 years, 1 month, and 12 days of service in the Air Force, greatest Air Force we know. And in that time, I was a E7 when I was retiring out July 1st, 2019. But my transition story really started a year before. And in that time, I found LinkedIn by accident, had no idea what LinkedIn was. Thought it was like a job board. Of course, I'm a 19-year senior non-commissioned officer at the time. So, you think of a senior NCO, we're supposed to know everything, right? We're the mentors, the guides, the coaches for the junior enlisted, for the junior officers to teach them how to become commanders. We're the senior advisors for the commanders to teach them or give them strategic ideas and to be the pulse of the enlisted force. So taking that into consideration, you can imagine my frustration when I learned that through LinkedIn and through Centurion Military Alliance, that there was over 40,000 veteran service organizations nationwide that provided free resources and benefits to us, but nobody had ever told me. And I started getting upset and thinking back to 2002. And this is when I put on E5 for the Air Force, like many other branches. This is the first supervisory role. It's staff sergeant in the Air Force. And all of the airmen that I had let get out the military from 2002 all the way up to that point in 2018, May of 2018, without setting them up for success on the outside due to my own ignorance and all the free resources that were out there for them. So I thought, how many of them are part of the 22 who've killed themselves a day since then, or underemployed, or unemployed, or on substance abuse, or divorced, or homeless, or incarcerated, all because Brian Arrington didn't set them up for success on the outside. Sergeant Arrington had failed them for 16 years, and that just didn't sit right with me. I felt a sense of guilt that I had to fix. So I went home, I started Googling and searching for every single veteran service organization I could possibly find. I was doing keyword searches, and I couldn't find anywhere where there was a single site repository where all the free resources were co-located, which frustrated me even more. Why hadn't the DoD told me about these free resources? Where were they? Why didn't the veteran service organizations come on base and tell me about them? Why hasn't every senior NCO who's gotten out of the military come back on base and yelled from the rooftops about all these free resources that they knew about? So I was mad at everybody. And, so in my last 6 months on active duty, still on active duty, I built Vets to Industry, which is the first free online nationwide resource library for veterans, military spouses, and dependent children. I wanted to build the Library of Atlantis for veterans, military spouses, and dependent children, but we've evolved. We've evolved to include Blue Star family members, Gold Star family members, and caregivers, because they are all part of our military community as well. Just so happens Gold Star family members join our military community on the worst day of their life, but they are still part of their military family.
Well, I'm
And
so glad what
yeah,
you're talking about, Brian, is, and this is what we talked about when I first talked to you. It's like you saw a need in the market and created it just because it needed to happen. And I feel like that's one of the things that really unites everybody on the call. Everybody has kind of a mission, a passion for supporting our military and our objectives in whatever way possible. And what Freedom Friday is doing with this, and also the GovCon summit that we're going to be doing later on in the year, is trying to bring everybody together, because there seriously should be one giant resource. And what I see Vets to Industry being is one of those. I feel like the other thing that happens is I'll only know one or two people and I can send them down the road, and that's how I met Russ and everything else, but it took a long time. And it's almost like what you're also doing is you've got a national resource, not just a local. So talk to me about how big Vets to Industry is, how big your impact.
yeah. So it all started with a few volunteers that were and all of us are made up of still serving veterans. I have somebody who's in 11 years. He's a NCO instructor for PME, all the way up to people who have been retired for 10, 15 years. We have 140 volunteers nationwide in Vets to Industry, and we've only been a nonprofit since December 2019. We
Wow.
have 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. It's only been up since August of 2019. It's only 1 year. We have 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. We surpassed 4Block, Bunker Labs, Centurion Military Alliance, and we're on the heels of Veterati and ACP. We'll surpass them this year at a rate. We gain 1,000 followers every 10 days like clockwork. We have also evolved to include these Vets Industry networking events. It's called the Vets Industry Virtual Networking Circuit events. We host them every 3 weeks, and our capacity size is 500. Our last event, we had 398 registered to attend. Our next event is tomorrow, and we have veterans, recruiters, veteran service organizations, business professionals, military spouses, the whole work come to these events from all over the country. We actually just had somebody in this last event come from Japan and another one from Germany. They stayed up till they were up at 2 a.m. and stayed for the whole 5 hours of the event that we have open. It's like an open bar. You don't have to stay 5 hours, right? But it's open for everybody, West Coast, East Coast, and overseas. And they stayed the whole 5 hours because it was so addictive. So that's what some of the things we offer. We offer webinars as well, teaching people transitioning tools, which is really awesome. And our website, you guys aren't going to believe this, but in just a year and a half of our website being live since March of 2019, we've had 20,000 visitors to our resource library. They've come 30,000 times. So we have repeat customers, right? And they've seen over 60,000 page views, because they keep coming back and looking at multiple different pages. You cannot get through our whole resource library in one day. We had 700 resources on the library until today, and you'll be the first to know. I'm about to do a post, but we just went and did our update number 17. We just added 126 resources to the website, and it's all scholarships. So we have 126 scholarships, all broken down by dependents, by veteran, by military spouse, dependent child, and by guard or reserve. So if you're looking for a free education, these are nationwide scholarships, all the way broken down to even state specific. So
Wow. Because
yeah.
what you've done that's different is you've got a massive database across it, but you're also able to make it where people can find what they need, where it can be broken down. And I think that's one of the things that's so frustrating when you're trying to look for veteran resources. You'll go, well, veteran service organizations. Well, that could be anything. And really what I consider that to be is kind of the heart of the community is what you're doing. I've got this concept that I call Mitch. about what we're trying to create together through Freedom Friday and through this GovCon summit that I'll be doing. MITCH stands for mentorship, inclusion, teamwork, camaraderie, and heart. And you are the heart. So tell me about some of the people that you've helped. Have you heard back from them?
Yeah, I have, but kind of before I do that, I like to take that question after this. I want to open it up and get the view and the heartbeat of Vets Industry, which is really the volunteers. And so I would love for Randy and even Mary, I'm going to put her on the spot, to kind of talk about from the volunteers standpoint, because I'm the founder, so I'm biased. I'm extremely biased. But I would love for Randy and Mary.
Well,
And
let's bring Randy on. Where is Randy?
Hey, how you doing, Mary? Good to see all you folks.
Let's see. There you are.
The heart and soul of the Vested Industry organization is really about the people. They are praised of a diverse amount of team members. We essentially call them our family, V2I family. What's neat about them is they're all volunteers. There's not a single person that gets paid a penny. And we never ask a service member or a family member to pay for anything. We want to make sure that we're able to address their needs, give them the support, the knowledge, the connections, and opportunities. And essentially at the end of the day, is to provide that hope. When you are transitioning in whatever you got going on in your life, there's not a cookie cutter pathway. It definitely takes a village. So when we bring everybody in together with all their different strengths, experiences, and skill sets, we're able to provide that. So that's good. It's a good baseline. But we couldn't do it without the volunteers. We're up to almost 200 volunteers across the nation and across the globe, overseas as well. And we are big advocates of making sure that we do the holistic approach, not only for the service member, but also for their spouses and their family. We want to make sure that if there is a need, that we will be able to provide that total life support. So that's what drives us. That's our why.
Randy.
Yep.
What about Mary Leone? How about let's let you talk for a minute.
Oh, thank you. It's actually Leone. You
Leone,
pronounce
sorry.
both these. Yeah, no, that's okay. You said it right the first time. So I have just been very inspired by joining the organization. It's very welcoming, and it provides a diverse group of people, but also a diverse group of needs that we can serve a variety of different people. The things that I do for the organization or how I help is every 3 weeks we have networking sessions where we have a keynote speaker who has been a successful military person who has transitioned and is either leading some kind of organization or a veteran service organization, and they provide an inspiring message. And then Brian talks about the organization and any kind of partnerships that we have developed over the past several weeks. And then we go into networking rooms. So I've been helping with facilitating networking rooms. This will be the 8th event that we have, and I meet so many interesting people, both recruiters and veteran service organization people, as well as job seekers. Now, my background is in talent acquisition, and I like helping people through that job search, and I have a passion for helping veterans in transition. So I frequently connect with people after the sessions and help them with that job search in terms of walking them through and sharing the resources, not only on the Vets to Industry website, but other websites as well with partner organizations. And it's very fulfilling. It's a very welcoming community of volunteers, and I've made many friends through the organization as well. And granted, that's not why I joined, but it's a nice byproduct of that. And we have helped so many people get to that next level. It's very heartwarming as well. So Brian's a fabulous leader and very inspiring, but almost everybody I talk to and share Vets to Industry, they all want to join and they all want to find out more.
Well, what I like about it is you give people a way to participate in what they do best and feeling like you're connecting people across the entire area. And I know I've just got Alan Elliott on here, and Alan, you just moved to Dallas, right? So, or you're in Dallas, you didn't just move there, right?
That is correct. That is correct. I've been in Dallas for about 6 years now.
Okay, so I think that you would know a lot of veterans that need to know about this, and is that right?
Tons, tons. Actually, my wife and I, she just retired last year, so we know a few of them that's actually transitioning. So I'm making notes and preparing to send this website their way.
Well,
Yeah.
that'll be great. Hey, Russ Barnes, how about, can you talk a little bit about what we've been doing and how they could connect into our initiatives?
So I'm assuming you're talking about the GovCon program that we have with Summit Leader, and Jenny's been putting together the GovCon Summit for several years now, and it's been going incredibly well in terms of growth, and as well as now moving into the virtual space. But the idea is for any veteran who's interested or service member interested in going into the GovCon space. You know, we are very targeted and focused on everything that has to do with making sure that they gain traction if they're starting out, in acceleration as they move through, as well as being connected with mentors, with joint venture opportunities, and it's a community. So this whole thing is all about community. So the things that you all are doing out there are fantastic, and we want to know about them, because that way we can then plug people into the resources that can help them within that GovCon space, because it is holistic. You know, we talk about business, and my focus is on helping small businesses become entrepreneurially prosperous, but it's for the purpose of life. It's for the purpose of how you can fulfill yourself and your community. So all of these resources is just tremendous.
Yeah, and what I'd like to offer is to plan for you guys to be part of GovCon Summit and run your one of your networking sessions during one of the days, so that we combine forces and make it available to both. And that's really what I think we're all trying to do, is we're trying to go outside our local communities where there are borders and use the internet to do it. And I think that it's because of COVID that we're having to do it so much faster, and it's never going to need to go back the other way. So Larry Martin.
I want to add one more thing real quick, Jenny, and that is with our summit leaders. One of our summit leaders is Eric Doc Wright. And I don't know if you can see this. I'll put it up there, and we'll put the information in the chat. Hopefully it's not showing backwards, but it's 101 lessons learned from helping military veterans transition. And it's a tremendous resource. Doc Wright just published it a few days ago, and I offer that up for everyone to see. And these are the kind of resources we put together for the general community.
Well, and thank you so much for that, Russ, because what we're really talking about is every one of us knows at least 50 people. If we multiply the number of people on this call times 50, that's where we start having the impact. And that's why you've been so successful, Brian. So Brian, how about a couple more things that people need to know about Vets to Industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So you were asking about how many people helped. So it's really thousands. So anyone who goes to our website leaves with knowledge. You can't go to our website and not leave with knowledge. The whole purpose of our website is for you to leave our website to go look at something else, which is not usually the case. Most websites are not built for you to leave the site. Ours is, but then you realize, oh my gosh, I've only looked at one resource. Let me go back. It's just impossible to go through it. We built it like it was the 1980s. You're going to the library. I just dated myself, sorry. You're going to the library with your mom and dad, and you get to run around the library, see what you want, see what you're interested in, and then leave, come back for another book, and then it's a community library. So when you're on there and you go to the search benefits page, if there's anything, any resource that you know of in your town or your city, or that you've heard of that we don't have listed, it's a community library. So all you have to do is on that same page, there's a little block that says, don't see what you like. And all you have to do is type in the resource that you know of that's, vetted or is a good resource that people have used it and they've done good for the community, and put in their LinkedIn URL, or excuse me, put in their website URL, hit enter, it immediately goes to our email address for my research team to do their research on, and then it could get put in the next update. If everything goes well, it gets put in our next update. So you all populate the resource library yourselves, not us. It's everybody. It's the whole community.
It's kind of like a Wikipedia of military transition resources, right? But Chris McPhee, is this what you were talking about as a smart book?
Exactly, the smart book. That's the ultimate. I've been checking out the website, and I'm definitely familiar with some of the organizations that's in Brian's website, and that's definitely the Transition Smart Book. I would definitely call it that.
Well, I'm glad to know that because I'm learning all kinds of new terms from Chris as we're building this thing out. So Brian, if people want to reach out, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you as we wrap up this session?
Yeah, so the best way of reaching Vets to Industry is sending an email to support@vets2industry.com. I don't give out my number because if I do, I'll never sleep. I do Veterati calls. For those of you who don't know Veterati, it's a phenomenal mentorship app that everybody should be on, either as a mentee or mentor. But that's for a later day. The other way is on LinkedIn. We have a tremendous presence on LinkedIn. Many of the Vets Industry volunteers are LinkedIn influencers. You would never guess some of the people on there, like Eric Horton, Bruce Thompson, Destiny Preetz, Leslie Coffey. I mean, the who's who of transitioning service member mentors are on Vets to Industry's team. And that's just a little sliver of them. There's so many. Brian Shue is in the works. So come find us if you have a question or you want to get onto our email distro list, because we have a newsletter that goes out at the beginning of each month. Then on the front page of Vets Industry, there's a way of saying, hey, learn more about us or get our newsletter. Just put in your information and you'll get on our mailing list. We have over 2,000 people on our mailing list right now. So, we don't spam or anything like that. We just tell you about events. And as soon as we get bigger and better at dissecting what people need or want and categorizing it, we'll be able to send out emails about jobs specific to regions and locations that people are interested in, or specific events to locations and things of that nature to certain people using our HubSpot and things of that nature. We're not there yet, but we're building. We're getting there.
Well, thank you so much for all you're doing for this, because it sounds like such a fabulous resource. And thanks for being on Freedom Friday today. I want to have one last person make a comment, and that's Larry Martin, because you're going to be on next week. Larry, do you mind just telling a little bit of people about what we're going to be talking about?
We're going to, thanks, Jenny. We're going to talk next week. I was thinking here, kind of getting set up, and Brian, thank you for the great work you and your team are doing for providing connective tissue for veterans as they go.
Thank you.
There's a belief that the veterans community or the military somehow has this idea of diversity and equity linked, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It's a continuing journey for all of us as we continue to work on that. But folks that are associated with the military community have an insight into how to work together and the way that they support each other. So we're going to talk about some of those ideas and basics next week as we work to try to help open doors, make the industry accessible, but more than anything else, just be fair to people, give folks a fair shake to do what they want to do and what they desire to do, to live that nefarious or that unreachable or that unattainable American dream of trying to have equity where we can all have a great opportunity. So Don and I are going to look forward to the conversation next week. Hope to join you next week.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining us today, and keep sharing information about this event, and just connect with me on LinkedIn if you're not already connected. We also have a group on LinkedIn, and would love to hear more from everybody. So thanks so much for being part of it today.
Thanks, Jenny.
Jenny, quick question.
Yes.
Can we, is there a way that we can get the LinkedIn URLs of everybody in here? Do you have those? Because I would love to connect with some of the people in here, and we didn't have time to
That's
share.
a great idea. Everybody, before you leave, if you can make sure your LinkedIn profile is in the chat. And my understanding is after we do that, those 3 dots down at the bottom, you can copy the chat to do that. And but that would be great. So yeah, as you're finishing up, let's all do that.
That is correct. Where it says file, right next there's the 3 dots, and you just click on that and you can save the chat.
I know, I'm so impressed how everybody else is prepared with what they need to know and sharing information. This is great. I'm seeing something from Tan Wilson about a free PTAC session that's coming up. And really that's what we're able to do together that we aren't able to do separately, is share opportunities, share ideas, talk about where else we need to go. So thanks so much for everybody. I'll keep it open for a few more minutes while we wrap this up. And we record this. Chris McPhee converts the recording so that we have that available. And we're all learning a lot from what we're doing with this.
Thank you again for having us, Jenny. Really appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to be
thanks,
getting
Jenny.
some more volunteer time from you too, Brian, because what I would love to do, we know that we're going to do GovCon Summit April 19th through the 30th. And whenever I tell people that, they're like, 2 freaking whole weeks. I'm like, but I want to have it so that there aren't concurrent sessions and that I have other people run specific sessions. And I'm especially interested in having that human connection. And that's where I'd like to put Vets to Industry and a number of other nonprofits, because what we'd want you to do is host your event with our event. Because it's like GovCon is the mall. And I've got so many people that are willing to be anchor stores or pop up a kiosk or any of that stuff. And I see Chris McPhee nodding his head. Chris, tell us a little bit about how big this vision is and where we can take it.
Oh, okay, Jenny. So Jenny told me we're going worldwide, Chris. So next GovCon Summit, if you guys are familiar with the Huba app, we're pushing to there. And I'm taking all of Jenny's ideas, which is very exciting every time I talk to her, and bringing them to reality. And these Freedom Fridays, every time I edit one, I actually get to listen. So when I listen to this episode, I could listen to everything that's going on. But the new GovCon 2020 virtual, it's going to be awesome. Entertainment. We're thinking about a music video, like a sing-along, so we're going to try to jazz it up and kind of emulate Disney a little bit and see if we could get that going. So, hey, I look forward to seeing all your faces and keep spreading the word. Thanks, Jenny.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. Tan, would you like to add anything more from talking about what you're doing up in your area with Intellect and your FCA stuff?
Yeah, sure. So it's Ton Wilson from Intellect. We're a GovCon provider here up in the DC area, but about 80% of my clients I've never met in person. We do CONUS and OCONUS work too. But I met Jenny through a lot of the work that I do with NVSBC and other vet organizations, and I do a lot of, sessions with PTAC and other government agencies, but I'm currently the incoming chair for the FCA International Small Business Committee. So our initiatives are to advocate and bring to light issues and support and programs and information from industry to the government and vice versa. So we're that conduit to kind of bring what's coming out of DC from policy standpoints, from upcoming procurements, to getting in front of government buyers and really kind of learning more about the agencies. So this whole session is so timely, and what you're all talking about is that a couple of months ago we actually did a session for the Iowa PTAC on getting to the customer market and how do we, you know, have some of these organic discussions virtually now, because you can't walk the halls. You can't, you know, you can't go to, you know, these networking sessions. Jenny, I'm like you, I'm an extrovert. I'm literally climbing the walls right now and like counting down for, I've got a prison calendar for when I can actually get out and do networking events. And on my LinkedIn profile, I do have a poll to try to find out, you know, when and are people comfortable in getting out and doing, you know, responsible networking. So please complete my poll, because I really want to kind of see where we all are as far as industry is concerned. But, you know, there are so many new things that we've kind of have to adjusted. And I hate to say that this is the new normal, because I refuse to believe that. I'm you know, I'm the perpetual optimist, and during this entire, you know, pandemic, the topics that I've been trying to talk about are very non-pandemic related, you know, like trying to keep conversations as normal as possible, because business is still happening, the government is still buying. And if we've seen anything here in DC, and again, I live in a very DC bubble, so you'll have to forgive me if, you know, like I'm starting to drink my Kool-Aid here, but, you know, the government is super, super busy. This is a buying cycle that we have never seen before. You know, it is the end of year right now, so we are expecting to be very busy, but at the same time, you know, the federal sector has been busy since probably November of last year. We did not see the downtick in buying. We did not see the downtick in procurements. And if anything, they've been more fast and furious. This administration has been very transparent, you know, as far as opportunities that are out there. And what's really great, and here's my silver lining about the pandemic, is that it has been a leveling effect for those who are not inside the DC bubble. So for those of you who are geographically outside of the area of the NCR, you are all on the same level now as far as competing for the government buyer's attention, and, you know, getting information that's being pushed out there by the government. So government's been doing a lot of work. Associations like the one that I volunteer at AFCEA have done really good job with trying to get out there and reaching out to people who are outside of our bubble. So if anything, information is getting pushed out, and more collaboration and inclusion of others outside of this area have been tremendous.
Oh yeah, I think you're so right about that. One other person I definitely want to call on is Bob Ewell, and I call Bob Ewell the NAICS expert, because I've heard him talk so much about particular areas of government contracting. He's also a SCORE, Service Corps Retired Executives mentor. So Bob, can you just chat a little bit about what you're seeing out there in the marketplace?
Well, it's everyone's learning how to use Zoom or Teams and on so forth, and it really helps get the word out. The last class I did on contracting, I normally would have 15 or 20 in my workshops. I had close to 78 people attend through Zoom, and it really, and then people follow up from that to get even further mentoring through all of the different SCORE volunteers that we have countrywide. How many folks are aware of SCORE and what it does through the Small Business Administration? About 5 or 6 that I see hands going up, but it is a tremendous resource. They're all volunteers and they do everything for free. And it's been an amazing ride for me. I did transition assistance classes there in Tampa for 17 years, Air Force initially, then under the Labor Department, and then finally it went to the Small Business Administration SCORE. And so I've had the opportunity of mentoring a lot of service folks over the last 21 years. Because I made a lot of mistakes myself when I retired. And,
well, I think what you're talking about is so important, because what we want to do is make every resource we can available to what people are looking for. And I feel like they need to be able to choose who they're comfortable with, if they want to pay or if they needed to be free, how fast they want to move. And certainly, Bob, you've been a great resource for me whenever we've had anything. And the whole idea is to make it so that people aren't having to dig around for information.